On two. Ready? Hey!
Welcome.
Yes, sir. Another great Sunday, man, for the Football Frame of Mind YouTube channel, man. We are streaming everywhere. We got Facebook, we got YouTube, we got Twitch, we got X, we got it all, man. So we know you guys enjoy interview time with us. So we're gonna continue, man. So we got a youngster up in here, man. We've seen the coaches, man. We've seen the sports radio host, seen a former player, current player as well. So current NFL player, should I say? But we got to get the youngster side of it, man. You know, the journey, right? So bring them in, Terry.
All right, so it's my pleasure, and I had over the past couple weeks, I've been emailing this guy or message him on X. So we have here today his UCLA commit, Jackson Roper, offensive lineman. So I'd like to welcome you to the show, Football Frame of Mind.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, sir.
Who got the first question?
I guess I'll start. So just going from before we get your backstory, I'm just curious. I seen when I was doing my research, after your sophomore season, before your junior season, you ended up transferring to the eventual school you ended up at. Was there a certain reason for that? Was it football related? Was it educational?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I think the best way to answer that question is there was a lot of reasons, not just for me, but I have two younger brothers that, are also going to be following me to the high school of choice. So I think it was just really more of a family decision based on a lot of things. Obviously looking at records, the football is a lot better at Cherry Creek High School. So, that was really helpful for me and being with those coaches and players. But, at the same time, it was just the right move, for the whole family.
Okay. So obviously it helped you get better eyes on you, probably helped in your development over the last couple of years too, I would assume.
Yes, sir. Okay. Exactly.
You got questions, Terry, or?
So, and correct me if I'm wrong. So you're actually the number one rated player coming out of high school for the whole state of Colorado. That's correct?
Yes, sir. Ever since I was ranked, I was the number one player in Colorado, and I've held it up until this point, and don't plan on giving it up.
How did that make you feel as far as your confidence? You represent the whole state. You are the pinnacle of the whole state with all the talent that comes out of there.
Yes, sir. No, and it's a super cool opportunity. Talk about confidence. I know the type of guys that we have in the state of Colorado, thought of as a flyover state, but we got some dudes here too. So, it's an honor to be represented as the number one guy in Colorado and also be a national recruit and be recruited by teams all over the country. But, really that started, my sophomore year, after the sophomore year going into the summer, was unranked, no offers, and then, went to an Under Armour Next camp. And on the flight, before we got there, CSU called me and offered me. So that was my first offer, hometown school. And that kind of picked up my recruiting. Then after that, went to some big time camps, started the process, got some big offers. And that's when that ranking hit. And it actually, the first one that came out was on ESPN, the ESPN Junior 300. I was ranked a 4-star and number one player in Colorado. And, I remember my dad walking downstairs and he saw it first. I try to stay off, I'm grinding. I stay off the social media. Mm-hmm. But he showed me, he's like, "Yo, Jackson, you see this?" And I'm like, whoa, that's cool. I didn't even, I hadn't recognized that kind of realm that I was in. And that was a great, representation of the hard work that I put in and also, where I was at and just to go prove it. Right. And then all the, other ranking services followed that. And, I've been the number one player since and offensive lineman and player. So it's just been super exciting. And you talk about from a confidence level of things, it brings a lot of confidence. but at the same time, every game I got to go prove that on the field and show people, why I have that ranking and why I'm, this national recruit. But I love it. I love the competition and I love showing it. So it's been really exciting.
Very impressive. What you got, Cam?
My bad. We got a storm coming through, so power just went out on me. So luckily, we got a good power grid, so it clicked back.
Yes,
on.
sir.
All right. So I guess my question would be, when did you know that maybe Division I college football was going to be an opportunity for you?
Yes, sir. So when I was at Regis Jesuit in those first 2 years, getting the opportunity to start as a freshman was huge for me. At that point, and it's the same, mentality I'm going to take into UCLA. The problem won't let me play any defensive line, but I'm going to play all 5 spots. So I pride myself on that, being able to snap, being able to play with length and play a tackle and just be physical, be an interior guy. I'll play all 5. And I'm really good at all 5. So, depending on, whatever's best, but my job is to get on the field and, I want to play. So same mentality I was bringing into high school. And a lot of that was, through guys that I had seen who have done it. That's a big deal. Being able to start on varsity and get that experience as young as possible and get film too. That's a big thing. These coaches love the film. I mean, you go out and ball out of camp, but they're going to watch your film, every year.
Oh, yeah.
They want to see this. They want to see you keep progressing every year. And so, the opportunity to be able to start as a freshman and, again, trying to get on the field. So they put me at D-line. I played 3 tech, and I was not your typical 3 tech. My pass rush was not that good, but I could hold my gap. And I would get double teamed, and I could hold my gap and let other guys make plays. And, that experience was great for me because I seen, I walked on the field in front of, 1,000 guys. It's not Texas football, but it's like, 1,000 guys walk out. And you're around those people in a varsity football environment. And it's like, damn, I did my job. And that was the big thing. And now moving into my sophomore year, it's okay, let me go perform. Let me, critique, my film and see what I can do. And that's when I kind of shot up. I was about 6'3", 225 that freshman year. And I'm a baseball player too. Not anymore. This is my first year not playing, but I love the baseball. But I went that baseball season, that second semester, from 6'3", 225 to 6'5", 280. True. So I got my dad's shoulders. I got a little, especially on the weight side, I got a little growth spurt. So I was like, God chose my position for me. So I'm playing offensive line, and I loved it. And you're just working at it. And, especially that season, sophomore year, coaches are, after the season, but coaches are coming by to school. I'm talking to guys. Twitter is a big one. I'm reaching out to these guys. They're reaching out to me. They're watching my film. And it was I was like, damn, I'm here. I'm talking to these guys. Now I just got to prove it. And that was, I put really good tape, on film, physical tape too, especially in my sophomore year. Technique and different things wasn't the best, but obviously that, you're a young kid. And it's my first year ever really playing offensive line. So they just wanted to see, that physicality. And going into that sophomore second semester, that's when, I don't know if you guys know, 6-0 Academy is the place I train at with offensive linemen. Matt McChesney is the guy, but, waking up at 5 a.m. every morning, doing workouts and training, it was huge, but it was all getting me ready, for that summertime going into the camps. And, when I got that first offer to CSU, that it was almost a relief because I knew I had somewhere, but going to prove it, at this next level. So that's kind of, you said Division I, that kind of point and turning point when those coaches were reaching out to me and I was getting recruited. And Brandon Huffman for 247 came to school and interviewed me. I was in that world. But when I really took the next step and was, I have the opportunity to be a top guy and a guy who's, really respected in this world of recruiting was when I went into that summer. And I went to, I sat right here. I'm in my dad's office, sat in my dad's office with him. And he said, hey, Jackson, where do you want to go camp? We had heard from a lot of guys who had done it. Camps are big, and especially this year. Mm-hmm. And, I was getting a lot of pressure from, the people at Regis, other people in my life saying, hey, don't shoot too high. Go to these smaller schools you may have, been talking to or, really want you to come out to camp. And for me, it was I want to see where I'm at, and that's how I've been my entire life. I want to compete against the very best in the country, and even if I'm short of that, now I know what good looks like. So I told him, I sat here and I said, we picked out a couple schools from each conference, and I said I want to go to the best schools that we have connections to through Matt McChesney and through the coaches at Regis. So I went to OU's camp, Ole Miss, Alabama, Texas A&M. Tennessee. I went to some big schools and got offered by all of them. I think I went 5 for 6, and that kind of put me in that conversation of, whoa, I really competed and I did really well against other top prospects in the country. Now I just got to capitalize on it and go into that junior season. But those are kind of the two transition points. When I was first getting that attention, saying, hey, D1 and that's a possibility, to really being in the recruiting mix of, hey, I'm a top recruit. And that's when I got that ranking, being the number 1 kid in Colorado, and it just kind of transitioned this whole process and to what it's become today. But thank you for the question. I mean, that's a really good one and super exciting, throughout the steps of the process.
Of course.
Just out of curiosity, we stress the importance of film because, I mean, that really is the most important thing you have. The more time you have to put in, it could be a double-edged sword. Like when you're really good, it can be really good, but
yes, sir,
it gives people more of a time to be able to critique you. So obviously you're sitting there working on your game, you're watching. Are there any current players, whether they play in the league or maybe guys played in the past, that you were like, okay, this is who I'm going to try to model my style after? Like, because I feel like whether you're in a skill position or not, I feel like most people gravitate to certain players like, okay, this is close to like my archetype. This is like kind of fits my size. Let me see what I can do to try and make my game like that.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, I mean, and again, the film is super important, right? And I watch the game from a whole different lens now, learning about the game, just learning about football in general, but watching, NFL tape, college tape, a guy who I really model my game after, Quentin Nelson, real physical interior.
Baller.
Yeah, exactly. Baller. Zach Martin, another guy. I'm not quite Lane Johnson. I don't know that kicks that, but that's another guy who just shows his, movement, ability to play in space, and just modeling, taking little things from each of those guys. But like you stress, I mean, the film is very important, and it's less about, oh, you're a finished product right now. It's more about, hey, do we see that progression every single year of you getting better? And that's my job right now, is I got to be the best possible football player I can in August. Because you don't want to do this all these and then dip or stay flat, right? They don't want to see that. They want to see you continue to get better every year, so then they can project you to come in and continue on that on that road. So it's but the film is very important.
I love the perspective though, being able to have played on both sides, because I feel like you can see there's certain things you play on the O-line and you don't see when you play on the other side. So I feel like it gives you an advantage to an extent, because you kind of have an idea of what to expect or what guys are going to be bringing to the table coming at you.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. And a big part of that, is film study. And not even just, when you talk about film study, a lot of guys think, oh, well, I'm going to study the guy I'm going against, or I'm going to study what I need to get better at, or the team scheme. There's a lot of things. Like one of the biggest and most helpful things I would say for my development from my sophomore to junior year was understanding the game of football, just knowing ball. And that's from, I can't just know my position, not all 5 positions, but what everyone on the offense is doing on the field and certain defensive looks that guys can throw at me. I mean, it's a huge part of it. So we, at 6-0 Academy, we watch a lot of NFL tape. And Matt McChesney played in the league for about 6 years, played at CU, but he understands the game. And I've been able to learn and continue that through the whole process on just breaking down, what a trip set looks like. How do we run into an underfront and all this. And there's a lot of other, advanced topics that, I learned, but just understanding the game and knowing, hey, this guy could come off the edge because he's stacked by the safety. And there's just so many things that you can learn, and helps me not have to think as much in the game. I just, boom, I see it, I know it, and it lets me play free. And, that's been a big thing for my development. But really film study, just understanding the game. And then from a recruiting perspective, because that's all on the field. Recruiting perspective, when I can sit in the office with the head coach and talk to him about scheme in football and, what I'm going to do, whether that's offensive line coach, head coach, coordinator, when I can talk ball with that guy, he knows, that's one less thing we got to worry about this kid coming in. He knows the stuff. And honestly, that's, two things. You got to come in shape and condition, and you have to know the playbook, and you have to know what you're doing. Those are the two biggest things that'll hold you back from playing early. And like we talked about, I mean, that's my biggest goal is to come in and play. Obviously there's an opportunity at UCLA to come in and maybe play right away. But that's exactly. Yeah. He said, yep. But you never know, right? You got to go prove it. But being able to play as early as possible and just understanding the game has been huge for my development. But the film is big, from coaches' eyes and from the players' eyes. The film is the biggest part. And obviously balling out at camp is good too. You show those guys in person. Again, some of the guys, they're also recruiting. But, the film doesn't lie. The eye in the sky, right?
Easy transition.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I shook my head, earlier because besides from what I observed from the offensive line, I know that was one of our biggest struggles last season was, one, it didn't seem like the talent was there, and the talent we did have, they were getting hurt. Like there was,
yes, sir.
Like over half the line was like depleted, and it was pretty bad. We couldn't get nothing going on offense. Like, if anything,
the biggest thing is being available and ready.
Yeah,
availability is the best ability. My dad said that to me for a long time. It's true though. I mean, you can be the best player, but if you're always hurt, I mean, there's nothing you can do, right?
It's all about what ifs at that point. You can't do nothing with that.
Yes, sir. Exactly. And that's one of the best things about this new coaching staff coming in is, I really believe in what they're doing, their plan. Some of the guys they brought from JMU who are here. And like you guys have seen, I mean, we have a really good recruiting class and we're getting the right people. And it shows it's not just me who feels this way about the program. There's a lot of other top recruits that maybe aren't going to a blue blood program, like a Bama, like an LSU, like a Michigan. I had, pretty much all those offers and, was able to talk to all the coaches but making the choice to go to UCLA, they're doing something special.
All right, so that's kind of my next question, right? So Terry obviously follows UCLA a lot, and they've been under a little bit of reconstruction. We'll say that, right?
Yes,
so I gotta ask, like, how does it feel to be a part of a class that's going to build this new foundation of UCLA football? How does that feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, that's one of the things. You can be the change in a program. And I'm not no quarterback. You need 5 of me. But you can really step and be the change in a program. And, what a cool opportunity to do that, especially at such an amazing place like UCLA with all these other sports, doing so well. And, Coach Chesney has said this. They're one football team away from being like just a dominant college in general over all across all sports. And it's super exciting because I know they have that plan and this new coaching staff coming in. They're grateful. That's another thing. They're so grateful for the opportunities they have. They've never done it at a Power 4 level, but everywhere they've gone, they've won. So it's going to be exciting and to be a part of that change. And I believe in these guys. I believe in the people that we're bringing in too from a recruiting perspective. And, that's what we talk about is, hey, what an opportunity to be at the right school with a great education, great networking. And we can talk about that later. But, it was a big part of me in my decision, the life after football. You play 1 year, you play 15 years in the NFL. I mean, whatever, right? You never get there. There's always a life after football, right? So it was a big part for me and my family. But, we try to talk about this opportunity with all that, a great coaching staff and a great place to play football in the Big Ten. And, you're able to do that and come in and have an opportunity to play early too. That's huge because, if we do our job in 2 or 3 years, there's not going to be an opportunity to play early at UCLA because all of us in these next couple classes are going to be balling out and playing really well. So it's just like the perfect timing to be a part of that and be a part of a change in a program that I really believe is going to happen. And I'm super excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned,
you're good. No, I'll go after. You're good.
You mentioned earlier about almost it sounded like a plan B kind of thing. So I'm also big besides, football. I also like to get to know the player as far as, education so what major are you going to be picking or have you decided yet when you attend UCLA?
Yeah, so I'm still thinking about it. Obviously, the football's big and, almost like a plan B situation. I would say it's more just, doing the right thing, because you never know. You could have a career-ending injury, and I feel like you always got to have, be in the right place for that life after football. And it was big, for me and my family to be in a place like that. But I'm 110% in. Like I tell the coaches, my plan is to go to the NFL. That's what I'm working towards, and that's the goal. But, there's some things that can take you off that track. But that is the goal at the end of the day. But from an education perspective, I haven't decided yet what I want to do. A lot of guys do business, communications, but there's some cool opportunities, to really push myself with a great education like UCLA. So kind of just figuring out what would be the best track. I'm a huge math science guy. I love it. It comes easy to me. So anything like that. But it's, we're still figuring it out. But the life after football is very important for me. And, that's how my family has installed that in me. I from when I was young, you don't have A's and B's, you're not going to play your sport. It's just, how you do one thing is how you do everything. I've been taught that, and it's about the little wins. And, I come into the classroom trying to win the day and get my stuff done, get as much done as I can, in school, so I can go out and I can do my training. I can really hit my recovery. I can get the right amount of sleep. And I've always taken that approach. It's how you do one thing, it's how you do everything. And I don't feel like you can slack, on the school, on your recovery, on your sleep, and be the best version of yourself. I feel like those habits will carry over to the football field. So that's kind of my approach through the whole process.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell my son. Stop slacking in school, man. Like I said, it's cool. Like, yeah, it's cool. Like, I just passed. Like, that's cool. But yeah, you can do a little better. You can, right? Like, like an 80's cool, right? But you can get like an 81, 82. There's more numbers than that, So, but we getting there.
Out of curiosity, so you brought up Coach Chesney before, and he's kind of one of those guys who's kind of feel like skyrocketed over the last few years, especially for what he did at James Madison. So, when you're talking to these coaches, you brought up a lot of these big programs, whether it be a Blue Bloods, Power 4, Power 5s, and everybody's got their own approach. Everybody's got their own thing to offer, their own vibe, and their own, feeling. Mm-hmm. What made his approach that much different that made you feel okay? Like, outside of just the opportunity to play early and all these things, what made Coach Chesney feel like, I guess, more personable, or made you feel more comfortable with him compared to, some of these other guys who maybe have a better track record at the Division I level?
Yes, sir. And again, having the opportunity to be recruited by a lot of these big-time schools was super cool, and talking to a lot of really accomplished head coaches and position coaches. I mean, there was a lot of guys, and I'm not going to say it wasn't a tough decision, sitting in here and having to call those guys after I made a decision and say, hey, I'm going in a different direction. It's tough because there's a lot of dudes who are, really good at what they do. But I think the biggest difference, and this is what I tell guys, I say, well, why did you go to UCLA? I say, well, the coaching staff. And when they want me to expand on that, like you're talking about, I think the biggest difference from Coach Chesney and what all the staff, this is credit to everyone there, is they just love what they do. I mean, I got the opportunity to be at a practice. I got the, after committing, be at the spring game and then be here for an OV. And every single touch point I've had with these guys and, all the calls and stuff over the phone beforehand, they just love what they do. And I don't know if it's more the appreciation to be at a school like UCLA that has all these resources, is going to fund the program, going to make sure once they see the program, a great fan base. I don't know if it's that, if it's just who he is and his heart and his personality. I know they love the players. They really care about the guys. And it's just every day. I mean, I went to that practice and it was just different. You go to some guys and you realize different things. So uber competitive. These guys compete in every single period, or hey, these guys have great facilities and the recovery is amazing. And as something sticks out at all these places, that was the biggest thing. Is these guys wake up every single day and come to practice and say, man, I love what I do. I love these kids. I love the people I'm around. And I want to be here today. And that's a huge difference. And I know you guys probably have an athletic background. I mean, you come into your sport and you're, oh, shoot, I got to go to practice today, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. Or I don't really want to do this lift. But if you love the people you're around and you love coming to work or you love coming to, play football every day, you're going to get so much more out of it. And again, for me, the development piece and the people you're around, that's a big deal for me. And evaluating, it's not just coach to player. A big thing that I realized throughout the process was it's also coach to coach. I mean, that's a big difference. You have guys who are in there and, they don't really mess with the other coaches, or it's real separated. You're never around the team. It's only your position guys. Like, it just is, it's kind of a tough environment. These guys, they all love each other. They've all been together for a long time, and they all have the same goals, same aspirations. And they do certain things like, competitive periods where it's not just, you're doing one-on-one pass rush. The whole team is there watching you do one-on-one pass rush, and it's like for the game, and all super competitive, but it gets the whole team involved, and you get everybody involved, and everybody knows each other, and it just felt like such a family environment. And that all I feel like fits under the tree of they just love what they do. They love being at UCLA. They're super grateful for the opportunity, and that's the same mentality I want to take into it every single day. And especially, that starts from the top up. So Coach Chesney, a lot of credit to him on how he runs the program and his staff. But just I would say that's the biggest separator. And the thing that I realized, being around these guys is they just absolutely love being at UCLA. They love football, and they love coaching and building up young men in all aspects of life.
That's good to have. I got to imagine from what you're saying that it's not very common to have that feeling going on these big tours and these visits. I got to imagine that's not a very common thing.
It's tough, and everybody has a different way of running the program, but it's just what I was looking for, and, it felt right. And they almost made it impossible to say no through all aspects of this, and it just was such a great opportunity.
They sold you.
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, I'll tell you.
But in a good way, though, obviously.
Yes, sir. And the thing about it is, I've heard Coach Chesney go on podcasts and different things and talk, and I can back him because this is something that, I feel – they're not selling anything. That's the best part is it's all real. And, why wouldn't you and we can kind of go into this a little bit later, but I make a point. Why wouldn't you want to go to the number one public education in the country? Why would you not want to be on I think they just got ranked the best campus or whatever, the most beautiful campus. Why would you not, besides taxes, we'll put taxes aside. Why would you not want to be in 82 and sunny every day in LA, like in a beautiful part, Beverly Hills and Westwood? Like, why would you not want to be there? Why would you not want to be in the Big Ten and compete against, arguably, I know Alabama, LSU. So, but SEC, I give a lot of respect to SEC. I got recruited by a lot of those guys. But credit, one of the best, if not, top two conference in the country. Play for a great coaching staff that loves what they do. I mean, there's just so many positives. I couldn't really find a negative about being there. And there was always, and it's not about finding negatives. You always want to stay positive, but like through my process, it has to be really, minute things because they're all great schools. And, I had the opportunity to be recruited by a lot of them. They all have something great to offer, but I got to find, what was really important to me and pick out little things. And, I couldn't find anything about UCLA. So that I ended up making the decision really easy.
Nice.
Yeah, so you kind of touched on my next question, man. So, like I said, me, Terry, and Brandon are a little old school. So, Pac-12 was definitely where like I said, we love the Pac-12 after dark. We love it. That was old school. So I gotta get your take, man, on being able to be in the Big Ten, right? You get to play some of those West Coast teams, right? So that's pretty cool with your family traveling, right? That's cool. But you also get to play in some big time blue blood environments, right? So I gotta ask, right? Except for your home environment, that's always the crib, right? Yeah. But I gotta say, which places you're excited to go kick up some dirt in?
Yes, sir. So, and the coolest part about this is I know all these programs inside and out. Being recruited by them, learning about them, being around the coaches. And I'm super excited. The opportunity to play in the Big Ten, I mean, that was really my goal from the beginning is once I kind of realized I was at that level, again, I talk about competing. I love competing. I love the physicality of football, and being able to physically compete is why I play the game. It's my favorite part about it. And, what makes me love football and seeing that, all around and being around all these schools and these high level programs, I can't wait to go to an Ohio State, go to, the other school that's doing, I have a couple friends there who are doing, good things. Michigan, Oregon, there's these Indiana now. I mean, there's these big time programs that are in the Big Ten, and you'll play in big games. And again, I want to know where I'm at. My goal is to go in and play right away and be able to play against those guys, on the weekend and see where I'm at and compete and just give it my all. And I wouldn't want it any other way. I wouldn't want to compete, make myself look good and, go to another school or different things, right? I want to play against the very best in the country. And I'm really excited. It's, such a cool opportunity for me and, to go prove it. And I think that's another thing about UCLA as a whole. I mean, we're not hiding from anything. We got to play those teams every single year. And, I can't wait. And I know the coaching staff and everybody feels the same way. We're not hiding from nothing and we're here and we're really excited to show everybody what we're building.
Hell yeah, man. I got to imagine, man, the exposure is crazy right now, right? Because, like I said, geographically, like I said, this is just me. Geographically, the Big Ten is not like my favorite, right? Because it's everywhere. It's too much, right? But geographically, for the players' perspective, that's fucking awesome. Because you got teams from the East, from the West, all can get your tape, right? So when it comes draft time, you got games everywhere. You got games all over the place. So I think that's pretty cool. So that was my question. I'm good.
Oh yeah, yes sir. No, and that's a big part of it too. And talking about the next level on how these guys are able to watch you. And another thing, I think you mentioned flights and different things for the family. Really easy flights, and not to put any diss on the SEC schools. Again, a lot of respect. But like when we went to Bama for camp, I mean, that was tough. You fly in and then you got to drive, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it was, or, Ole Miss drive. Like a lot of the Big Ten schools are in a city or they're in, a big time place. So it's a really easy flight for the family. Makes it easy on us. So there's some benefits. There's also some benefits, being at an A&M and playing in front of 105,000 people or Bama, like what a historic program. Like there's a lot of benefits to all these schools. And again, that goes back to finding, the minute details and what I really cared about.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Because like I said, the SEC geographically is like the best conference. If you're from that area, right?
Yeah.
If you're from Florida, you can easily go to Georgia. You can easily go to all them schools around there, right? So, but like I said, man, you trade off the geographical connection for the worldwide audience, right?
Yeah,
because like I said, I think the Big Ten has the craziest media package.
They got a great TV deal now. Because years ago, that was a big thing they were talking about. I think when me and Cam first started doing this, we're like, I don't know how they're going to work this out when they're starting to expand. Like, I don't know how they're going to get this TV deal done.
Yeah, I was like,
they were going back and forth, and they were like, well, the club's dissolving, and then the Big Ten's going to pick all this up. And it's like, but the way it is now, they cover all the ground. You can catch a Big Ten game anywhere, pretty much.
I was like, yo, they bringing USC and LSU. UCLA there.
Yeah.
Like, yo, are you crazy? How you gonna do that? How does that even make sense? That's a Rose Bowl game. Like Ohio State and UCLA is a Rose Bowl game. How we gonna just have that on a Saturday? I was like, but you know what? It's kind of cool.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, so I'm gonna be headed out now. So thank you, Jackson. I'll keep in contact with you well after the show. We'll keep in touch and everything. But thank you for being on.
Hell yeah.
Joining us. Continue with these guys. They're great guys. Highly recommend them. For anything. So
yes, sir.
I'm gonna head out. Get ready for this show. And
thank you for the opportunity to be on and reaching out. And we'll be in touch. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to get back on and talk about, throughout the season or, maybe I go back on campus regardless, but I love it. So I appreciate you and hope you have a great rest of your night.
All right. Thank you very much. And can't wait to see you on Saturdays.
Yes, sir.
Take it easy, brother.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So out of curiosity, like you're going on these official and unofficial visits. Let me fix the screen. This is going to bug the hell out of me. There we go. That's going to bug me.
No.
How many visits did you go on with UCLA, and like, what was the process like? Did they take you just on campus? Did you tour the facilities? Like, kind of walk us through that, because like we hear the coaches talk about it, but they never really get into like what the treatment, like what they do with the players behind the scene, like in that process.
Yes, sir. So I have a ton of experience. We went to 6 camps. I think it was 9 game days, like 14 spring practices. And then, obviously the OV to UCLA, we went a lot and got, a lot of treatment, a lot from these schools. And I think through the process, specifically UCLA, was at the spring practice, at the spring game, and then was able to go on to OV. And they're super cool. Like the big thing for me, I'll take you through every step on kind of the process. So camps, obviously the big thing is to go ball out. You want to go ball out. You want to compete against their guys. Hopefully get offered. If not, they see what you can do and then prove it, for that film that next year. And then moving on to games, throughout the year, that's just a cool experience. You get to see what the game day atmosphere is like. You get to have some opportunities, not a lot of people get, be around the players, kind of and it's real set up. That's another thing. It is real set up from what you're doing, and everything's organized because it's a game day. You're not really, you're talking to coaches, but you're not really, because they got a game to play. I mean, these guys got stuff to do, but it is a very cool experience, and being part of a game day atmosphere and getting to see that, all over the country. And then the next one, kind of in order, is junior days. I only went on 2. I went to A&M in Oregon, but junior days are great. It's a lot of information, like really information based about what they have to offer, school, like, everything from the recovery room to how they do things. And it's just real information based, but you get, time to talk to the coaches, and those are great. And then spring practices, going on, that was the most that we went on. I think it was 14, but
Sure.
That was the big thing for me. And it's because you could really see like what these schools were like. And I think, we went through in our process was, if they have a great education and if they play high level football and they play big time football, those were the 2 things. And then the third is that family and aspect, everything that goes into that. And you can kind of build that over the phone, but you can't really till you're in person and you see it. So that was a big thing for us going on these spring practices was they have those 2 intangible things. Let's see the third and kind of that family aspect and what it's like being there. And also it's real too. It's not that it's not set up, because you do go through the process of, okay, here's your meeting with coaches, and then here's when you eat, and then here's your, presentation on the education. And so it is set up in that aspect, but they don't tell the guys, hey, we got recruits here. Like, we have a big time recruit. Like, I'm going to be all nice to you guys today. It's not like that, right? It's a real practice, and there's real guys here competing. You get to really see what it's like and what, a day in the life of a spring ball is like for the guys. And you get to be around the players. You get to do these things. You get to really talk ball with coaches. Again, we talked earlier about, the education part of things on football and just ball knowledge, understanding the game. That's where I get to shine and prove that to the coaches on, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I know this. And that obviously helps you down the road on, where you're at on the board for them and different things. But, getting the opportunity to really talk ball with the coaches. So the spring practices were the biggest part. And then, we got great advice from the head coach at Texas A&M, Coach Elko. And he told us, when we were at the spring practice, he said, well, Jackson, you guys have been, so detailed through this entire process. You've got all the right information from these practices. The last part is an OV. And if we're being real, an OV it's a 48-hour party. It's not that you're not getting information, but it really becomes an emotional decision at that point. And the last thing that we wanted to do through this process was make an emotional decision about where I was going to go play, football. We wanted it all to be factual. We want it all to be detailed. And we said, hey, at that point I want to take all my OVs to, the 6 different places that I really like and spend time with the guys. But I didn't want to make an emotional decision. So we thought, we're okay with making a decision earlier because we have all the facts and we have everything that we need to make a great decision. So at that point, before OVs, we kind of figured, hey, let's really sit down. And after UCLA was my last spring practice that I was at, let's sit down and really evaluate, what these schools have to offer, what we loved, what we didn't like, and being able to list those things out. And that's when we got to the point talking about UCLA. And we said, what is bad about this place? You could point to taxes. I think the only things you can really point to are taxes. The team wasn't that good last year, but I don't feel like that has a lot of weight because the coaching staff can change everything. We saw that in Indiana. That doesn't hold a lot of weight. You can say that this coaching staff hasn't done it at a Power 4 level. They've won everywhere they've gone, and I feel like that's only going to continue with having those resources and the type of people they're recruiting. But those are the only things. We could only think of a couple that were like, negative things, but they weren't even like real hold weight negative things. Mm-hmm. So we were like, this feels right. And obviously having the talks and the money side and the NIL, I'm not going to lie, that's a part of it. And UCLA was financially competitive with a couple of other schools too. And it just got to the point where there was no way that we could say no. UCLA, had done everything. We have just loved our experience. What I pointed to, loved the coaching staff, loved everybody, and just I feel at home here. This is the right place for me, and to go be a part of something special. And that's when I ended up committing. And you talk about so still kind of going in order. My process a little sped up. But, commit and then go out to the spring game. So after spring practice, they had the spring game in the Rose Bowl. Super cool experience. My first time at the Rose Bowl and just like super excited. Obviously a historic place. I don't really fit in the seats. My hips don't really fit in the seats. So I kind of was a little awkward. But, it, ton of fun to be around the guys, be around the players, see it. Again, that's kind of it was a lot of compliments to me about committing and being a part of it and really exciting. And, sitting in here and making those tough calls, that's tough, calling these coaches who have poured a lot of time into me and saying that I'm going to go in a different direction. But, they're tough calls. But then going to this spring game was really big for me because you get to be around the people that you chose. And you feel, you kind of feel negative. Did I make the right decision? Is this the right thing? And then I go and I get reminded, this is why I chose here. I feel at home. I love these guys. This is why I should be here. And it was just great. And then the OV was really fun, with parents and brothers. Everybody got to go on that. And it is, it's exactly what we thought it was. It's a 48-hour party. And there's a lot of, you get to talk ball with the coaches. You get to have fun, but it's a lot of good food. The scale didn't benefit from that. There's a lot of good food. A lot of fun time with the players. Like it was a great time. And so really a celebration. It was great because we got to think of it as a celebration, less of we're still evaluating these teams and of, congratulations to the opportunity and be around the guys and know your people. Like I've always been someone that love, a small circle and the people who I really believe in and trust. And now that I know my people, it's just such a cool feeling and to be on that OV. But there's a lot of fun things. We do everything from to eat a bunch of good food, to play pickleball, to, talk with the coaches in the meeting rooms. We had the last night, that Saturday, we got to pick, an opportunity of what we wanted to do. And I picked to get a tour of the Dodgers Stadium. The Rockies suck at baseball, so I'm officially a Dodgers fan. So I'm huge, but Dodgers
aren't that bad.
Oh, they're pretty bad.
They're not that bad. Okay.
He was quick to dog them out, though.
Okay.
And we're baseball guys too. Like since we were young.
Yeah. So
I gotta say, okay. Yes, they have been bad the last couple seasons. Okay,
that was funny.
But I will say this season definitely looks like they're headed in the right direction. Yeah. It just seemed like they were just cool with being bottom dwellers.
Yeah. That's the problem, from Colorado is, everybody says they don't put money back into the team. So the tickets are cheap and but they're not going and getting good players. And the baseball world is really weird without the cap and different things. And, you just basically buy guys. It is different. It's a different world. But I was a huge baseball kid. Played third base when I was younger. Loved
I knew it.
Yep.
I knew it. That's the position. I was like,
yes, sir. They don't let me play that now. If I try to play, they would put me at first base and let me hit. That's what I was best at. But third base, and I love Nolan Arenado. And they got rid of him because, contract thing. And it was just like, damn, like these guys just aren't that good. So, but, on the baseball topic, officially a Dodgers fan after the tour, get to see all the history and everything. And then we got to meet with an agency. I forget the name, but a big agency. LeBron's repped out of it with whatever his
Clutch Sports.
Yeah, but it's with that specific agency. Regardless, it was cool because they do a lot of marketing and media. Like I have, I'm 18 years old. It's just how the game is today. But I have an agent that handles the sports side of things. But this is more, marketing yourself, building your personal brand, and what an opportunity to do that. No better than with a brand like UCLA in LA. I mean, that's just such a cool opportunity to be able to market yourself, build your brand. And it was just super cool opportunity. And that's the kind of stuff you don't like. One of the options was the beach and Topgolf. When I'm there, I can go to the beach. I'm 20 minutes away and I could, end this and go to Topgolf right now. Like they're just but you get to do opportunities that you wouldn't always have unless you were a highly recruited guy that you could go on. So that was a big thing for us, the Dodgers tour, and then, getting to meet with the agency was cool. And then that night we had a big kind of, they got a beach house, like right off the ocean, like super cool. Getting to talk, hanging with the coaches, do karaoke, do the whole thing, play beach volleyball. Like it was kind of a great ending to it, but you get to do a ton of fun stuff like that. And that's the best part about, my process is I got to do that while really just enjoying it and being around my people. I mean, that was the best part. So that, through that's kind of how it was in the process of every step, right? And taking you guys through what kind of happens, what was specific to me, what I was looking for. And yeah, that's kind of it. That's what it was. And I got to have that opportunity at a lot of places.
I really admire the fact that you felt conviction about having to call them coaches after the fact, because I feel like, and I could be wrong, I don't want to mislabel players, but I feel like the way things are, and Cam probably feels the same way. Everything's so commercial nowadays compared to like what it was like 20 years ago. Players, I feel like most players just don't give a shit at this point. They're just like, I'm picking this. Like I'm not calling you.
I'm going here.
But hearing you say that you felt the sense of like not guilt, but like of conviction, like, hey, I need to let these, because like you acknowledge all the time and effort and stuff they put in. So like, if I'm a guy, we're really analytical, we're really into the nitty gritty stuff. That's a thing that I look at. The film is a big thing. What's on the field is a big thing, but that's a big thing because there's a sense of I would say maturity, and obviously just a set of standards that I feel like a lot of kids your age probably wouldn't have. So I would say I really respect that, and I gotta imagine at least the coaches probably felt that way too. Obviously, like man, this dude ain't freaking coming, but you know what? Yeah. That's cool.
It's tough. They got a good one. That's probably what they're saying. Like, all right, they got a good one.
Damn.
Yes, sir. And that's the biggest thing for me is it's just out of respect. And I'm all about relationships. And this world of college football, and especially high-level football, is very small. And, all about relationships and guys that, maybe that guy's in the NFL. Maybe he's a coach in the NFL and he's drafting you one day. And if you dogged on that dude or didn't take 5 minutes to call him and appreciate him for, and again, being a high recruited kid, I'm flying out multiple times, flying us out to do stuff and be around the team and put a lot of time into me. I mean, I just feel like that's almost disrespectful. And I should take, respect to these guys and grown men who spent time recruiting me and giving me the opportunity to be this high-level player. I mean, again, all this goes away if I'm not the football player I am, but they have to make a choice to recruit me and put that time in. And obviously just, felt like the best thing to do. I had that plan from the beginning that those calls were coming eventually. You can only pick one school. It was so much fun to be recruited and be that, a top guy from all these colleges. But, it is nice knowing my people and, paying that respect, but also just keeping those relationships. I mean, guys probably aren't happy and they probably moved on. But if you ever need something, especially there's a couple of guys, you never need something, something ever doesn't work out. And again, I very much do not plan on transferring. That was the number one thing I told every coach and everybody through this process was I'm not going to transfer. I want to be in one place. And because especially offensive line, such a developmental position, it is so valuable to be in one place.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the plan, but you never know what could happen. You never know, like going to the NFL, who's going to be where. It's just such a small world. So that on that topic, that was really important to me, but great to kind of be finished and know my people.
Big picture thinking.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm glad you kind of set the tone for that, right? We're not transparent, because like I said, we live in a world where things are more fast food than they should be, should I say. So I'm kind of glad. But you being one of the top recruits of this recruiting class, I think it's important for you to set that tone. Like, they recruited us as their first recruiting class under this regime, right?
Yes,
so why not set the tone, right? It starts with us, like I said. You look at a lot of different programs, right? I look at Alabama, like my school, right? So it started with Julio Jones, right? He was the guy that set the tone for everybody else. So that's the standard. If you're not playing to that standard, then you don't need to be there. So that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping to see from you in your recruiting class. Like, this is what we got to do, right? It doesn't matter what happened before. We respect the legends, right? But we got to do what we got to do, right? We can't just keep living on the 1990 Rose Bowl or the 2000 team or whatever. We got to start our own legacy, right? What about the guys coming after us? So that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing. Because like I said, I love UCLA more than I love USC. So anytime you get to
we're gonna agree on that.
Yeah, anytime you get to stick it to the other guy, I kind of like it.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And I think that's, one of the great opportunities is being the change. And, it's kind of a fresh start. You have a new coach. I can, credit this. They're funding a lot of money and a lot of opportunity in the program because especially what, the other team is doing, they don't want to be left behind. And they value having a very good football team. And now you have a coaching staff that you believe in and is going to get it done. There's a lot going into the program right now. And, that's, again, credit to it's not just me. We have some big-time dudes coming in this class who are going to be really good and help me and them through this class, set that standard. And the guys who are going to ball out this year, I know there's a ton of dudes who are going to do really well, who will already have that, standard. But, there's a lot of great talent coming in. It's not just me in this class. And I'm really excited to be able to play next to those guys. But, again, what an opportunity to do this, as a fresh start in a great place, a great place to play football with great competition and an amazing coaching staff that I think we all really believe in.
Yeah.
Nah, that's going to be fun, man. Like I said,
Yes,
we looking forward to seeing your journey, man. Because like I said, we did last year we did a nice high school spotlight or something like that. So we always looking at guys just on the come up, right? So like I said, we love following stories, man. So that's something that we looking forward to, man. Like I said, we like the old school Pac-12, Pac-10. So all of them schools are always gonna be love for us because that's just how we grew up. So anytime those schools come back into the national spotlight, it's always fun, man. Always.
Yes,
fun.
sir.
I'm just curious. We talked about baseball, but who's your favorite football team? Were you a Broncos guy, or did you have to venture out of the state to, I'm just curious.
All right. So this is going to sound weird,
but
okay. I am a huge Bills fan. Buffalo Bills all the way.
Man, I was really liking you, bro. But now, you're giving a bad impression.
Well, and I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. The reason I'm a big Bills fan is I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. I got to playing baseball and stuff, playing fall baseball, got to go to Wyoming, play and watch him play. And I got his college card, I got his rookie card, I got all these, and I was like a huge fan. I played with him on Madden all the time. Like he would always be my guy. And I thought the Broncos were going to draft him. So I was a Broncos fan.
He was invested.
Hometown team, and I am a Broncos second. I love to see the hometown team do well. When they're playing each other, I can't speak on that. But love to see the Broncos do well. But they could have drafted him, and they needed to draft him, and they took, I think, Bradley Chubb with the pick, which, tough, right? Because you would have had a franchise guy, and then they have Bo Nix right now, but he went to the Bills, and I'm like, okay, I'll be, I love Josh Allen, so I got a jersey, and then he was kind of all right the first year or two, and then he kind of shot up, and I was like, oh, wow. And I get that question, like, well, why are you a Bills fan? So I have to go through the whole story because no bandwagon in here. I just, been a fan of his and, to see what he's doing. But, yeah, huge Bills fan. But Broncos second. I like to see the hometown team do well.
Man. And you guys are cursed, though, man. The Bills are cursed.
Oh, I know.
Y'all cursed, and I'm Patriots fans, so we're like mortal enemies. We got like some beef already. We don't even know each other.
That's funny. And as a young kid, like I didn't know all that. I just was thinking,
No, I'm just giving.
But it is funny to hear because there's some real Bills fans for life that are like,
Bills Mafia, bro. Bills Mafia is crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, sir.
They get in a brand new stadium and everything. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, man, I think it's pretty cool that you like Josh Allen because like I said, you're from Colorado, right? So, like, it's kind of that
same region.
Yeah. Wyoming's kind of in that same thing too.
Yes,
that's where we went to school. So it's like that's pretty cool, man. I thought they was gonna draft Josh Allen too, right? So, like I said, I've been a known Bills hater, right? But but I've warmed up to Josh Allen a little bit. Just a tad. Because I really like his size, man. Like, he's a big quarterback. And when he gets to rolling, you ain't really gonna stop him at the goal line. Not really.
And that's funny as you say that because like as a young kid, everyone wants to be a quarterback, especially being a baseball player. I play flag football or play football in the yard. I was I'm Josh Allen because I was a big kid. So I'm like, as a big quarterback, white guy running around playing quarterback, and I was like, dude, I think I'm this guy. So I was,
of course.
It kind of gravitated to him, but no, it is funny. But he's a super talented, but I just love watching. And like I mentioned earlier, just watching the game from a whole different perspective now. I mean, I remember watching the Broncos Super Bowl, and just you're always watching the big play or watching the ball. Like now, my eyes are stuck on the offensive line, and I'm like, damn, that was a great pickup by the left guard on the wrap. And my mom's like, what? Like they just threw a pat, and I'm like, that's what I'm watching. Like I'm watching it just for a whole different lens, but super cool and a lot of really talented teams.
No, that's what I like to watch too. I like to watch the offensive line, defensive line play, right? Because you can see a lot of what's going to happen all day. Okay, you can tell if it's going to be a long day for somebody.
Yeah,
right? Because I remember watching the Alabama game when they played Clemson. It was and they were in Santa Clara, and they got the ass beat that day, and I was like, uh-oh. But I kind of saw it coming because I was like, yo, our offensive line is like 3 yards in the backfield.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, he can't even hand the ball off. So
I think it's cool to play a position and to see you're looking at your position for where is the footwork right? Are they doing this right? Or are they doing this right? I think that's a really cool perspective. Whether you play on the line like you or can play defensive line, I played receiver, so it's kind of cool. It's a different lens to watch the game through because I'm an analytical guy, so I like looking at all the little, you messed up here, your release is off here, you cut too slow, or stuff like that. But man, I've got to imagine it's good being a Bills fan because it's better than Broncos country. Let's ride,
Oh yeah, no, it was tough for a little bit, and I always joke because I have a ton of friends who are Broncos and big fan. I was like, dude, this is not working. This Russell era is not working for you guys. But they're doing good now, so it's going to be some good. Obviously New England too, going to be some good battles, but. I'm just excited to watch. But, yeah, it's a completely different perspective these days on how I watch football and, what I see.
No, that's cool, man. Like I said, I like seeing a young player really invested and not just his playing, but almost like his football life, like how
Right.
you consume it, right? Because some people, just play it and they don't really love it, they're just
It's all
really
about
good
getting
at it.
paid. It's just you're
Yeah.
good at it, or
Yeah.
you're just trying to get paid. There's not
Yeah.
anything more than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then but with you, it seems like you're like really passionate about it.
Yes,
So
sir.
for my last question, right? I know you're young, right? You got playing, you got college, you got all kind
Yeah.
of stuff to worry about. So you can't even worry about this. But with how passionate you are about playing, right? And studying and knowing, could you see yourself coaching one day?
Okay, so that's a great question. I think I've been around some really great coaches. Obviously, the experience of being recruited by all these high level guys, but also a lot of credit to our head coach at Cherry Creek High School, Dave Logan, who played at CU and played, I think it was for the Browns for a long time. Was a guy who was drafted in all three sports: football, baseball, basketball. Was an All American dude at all of them in high school, and he is just. I joke, and all the guys. So he just like radiates aura. Like this dude is legit. But he is such a great coach, such a motivator of young men. Like I just love being around this guy, and he's been our head coach. I think he's won like 13 state championships in Colorado and like 7 at Creek. I mean, he's just a big time. Like if you live in Colorado, you know Dave Logan. Like he's a staple. But a guy like that who I could see myself, being in that position one day or doing, being an offense line coach in college. Like that route is always there. And I love football. Again, like we'll talk about, I'm a huge multi-sport guy. Like my family is, especially when you're young, you should play in multiple sports. I wasn't kick stepping when I was 10 years old. I was running around. I was playing baseball. I was swinging. I was playing basketball. And all that stuff, it just helps you be an athlete, which is really what offensive line, defensive line play is these days.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is an athlete, just a big athlete. There's no big fat dudes anymore. I mean, they're just big athletes. And that really helped me in my development, playing all the sports. But I mean, it was huge. It was big for me. Being able to play everything, move in different ways and see that. Same kind of thing that I try to tell my brothers, like continue to play multiple sports, do these things. And it really helped me throughout the process and just continue to be able to move in different ways. But just, super cool. Again, like really cool experience. And that's always been big for me. And that competitive nature too, like competing in all those sports, competing in everything you do. Like we talked about, competing in the classroom, competing, in recovery, and always trying to be the best. But through those other sports, there was never, I foul out in basketball these days. Like if I try to play basketball, I'd foul out immediately. Like it just, I'm too physical. And the baseball always pissed me off when I had this bat, and I was a really good hitter. But when I wasn't doing well, it was like, I wish I could just use the frame and body that I've been given in a better way. And that's what football gave me. Football gave me a way to physically compete. And again, I compete in every aspect of my life, but I love the physicality of it. And just being around the game, I love it. I mean, I just love football. It's kind of honestly, these days it's my life. I do the school and I really care about the school, but at the end of the day, it's to go play football. And, I take the time and I get my sleep right and I eat the right foods to be a really good football player. So, when my football career is over, if there's one day where, I want to stay around the game and be a coach, that would be a really cool opportunity. We'll have to see what happens, but I just love the game of football. And I mean, I think, it's important. And I tell my brothers that too. I say, if you don't love football, just don't play it. I think it's valuable to play it, when you're young and through high school, but don't try to pursue football because it is such a tough game. It is hard. There's really hard days. There's, tough competing. And there's really good dudes. Like it's not worth it if you don't love playing. But I think, you should take that mentality into every aspect of your life and do what you love. And I love football. So we'll see. We'll have to see.
Man, if you get in the coach, maybe you be the next Brent Keeper. Great offensive line coach, man. Ends up being a freaking Power 4 head coach. You never know.
Yeah.
Saban disciple.
Yep.
Yeah. And we got to meet him. I loved it. Loved our
That's got to
conversation
be cool.
with him. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's one of my guys, man. Like I said, there's certain people that I've come across when Saban was there. I said we ain't really got to get on what Alabama's doing right now, but Saban, when Saban was there, like his assistants really were hands on.
It's that Saban tree. It's real.
Yeah, like it's super crazy, bro, to see how many coaches, period, are either head coaches or high level assistants in the
Yeah,
NFL.
that's
You know
real.
what I'm saying? Like that's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, even Bill Belichick, who's Saban's a part of that tree, right? Bill Belichick has a crazy tree.
Yes,
Right. I
sir.
just like I said, I'm a football savant, I'd say. So I like to go through the coaching trees, man. Like just to see who came from where, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, like damn, he was like you had a young Mike Holmgren on your staff. Like he
Yeah.
had hair then. Like you had him
Oh, yeah.
like a young genius. So
Yeah.
like I said, side note, like I said, we don't want to keep you all day. But like one of the craziest stories that I love to read about is Bill Walsh coming to the 49ers, right?
Yeah.
Because going from Cincinnati, he was the offensive mind. He was the one that made the West Coast offense, right? Had a quarterback, bigger arm, gets hurt. We got to design an offense for not the quarterback with the less arm, right?
Yeah.
So just to see how he came from that situation where he felt like I'm the guy, right? And then, like I said, the owner pushes him out basically, like, yo, you're not going to be here. It's crazy how things turn full circle. So he's with the Bengals, and the 49ers play the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And there you go. And now it's like, I'm going to show you how good I am, right? So
Yes,
I
sir.
love how that type of thing between coaches and how they can navigate. Like, okay, well, I got this idea and I know it's going to work. And they just go from place to place, just establishing that, right? I look at your coach right now, right? Coming from a smaller school.
Yes, sir.
I look at guys like Harbaugh, right? Going from San Diego State, I believe, and then coming up the ranks and getting Michigan. Like actually going to the NFL, then back to college, then back to the NFL. Like
Yeah.
I love that type of journey, man. So like I said, I'm really excited to see how your journey goes, right?
Thank you for that.
Because you're like what do you say? Like we're talking art. You're an empty canvas right now. You're a blank canvas,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Like you come here, you starting, like I say, 6'5", 300 pounds. So like, dude, we can make you into whatever we want to. Like, let's go. Let's go.
Yes,
guard, tackle.
That's
center.
what I'm saying. I'll play it all. And it's super exciting.
I love that part, man.
Yeah. And it goes back to like what you said, you know, it's a small world. High level football, it's a small world, and so cool to see, you know, all the journeys, you know, a lot of these young men are on, and also coaches and you know, all the accomplishments, and just super cool world. I mean, I'm just blessed to be in it and be a part of it, and God-given ability to play, you know, great football. But it's exciting. And I won't lie, it's fun to be a part of it, fun to be a really high recruited guy, fun to, you know, have the opportunity to play high level in college, and, you know, you do the right things, be in the NFL one day. So just super cool opportunity. But again, you know, I'm super thankful. Like, thank you guys for having me on the show. Like, I love it. I love my time. I love sharing my experiences because, again, you know, not everyone gets this. So I love talking about it, and appreciate you guys giving me a platform to be able to share that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
man, not a problem at all. That's not a problem at all. I got one more question. I guess we can let you go unless he has something else. Kind of like a two-parter here. Like in your game, do you feel like there's a part of your game that is like your greatest strength? And then going into this last year before you obviously take that next jump, is there an area in your game is like, I'm good at this, but I could probably get better to make that college transition that much easier? Just out of curiosity.
Sir. Yeah, so I think one of my greatest strengths in the game of football, again, going back to, it's the film. It's knowing football. It's being able to see what should happen or what's going to happen, or have a really good idea of it before it happens. Because then I don't have to think. I get up to the line and I don't have to think about it. I know what I'm going to do, and I can trust my technique. But also, you know, being very physical. I think that's a big thing for me, being very physical and that goes along with knowing the game. It allows you to play physical. And just, I think those are the biggest things for me. And you can get into minor details. I'm really good at playing with length, replacing my hands, picking up blitzes, different things. There's a lot. Climbing to the second level. I think if I needed to talk about, a couple of things that I need to work on, because there's always stuff you're going to need to work on. And I got to have that. And I got to know that I can't be in denial, because I got to go, block the Oregon edge rusher, in a year, or go block Michigan's edge rusher, go against a big ass, Samoan D tackle who's going to the league next year. Like there's all these dudes, and you got to have that mentality of I got to get better every day. And Coach Schmitty, the offensive line coach at UCLA, was great on. He spent some time in the NFL, and he that's what he told it as an offensive line coach, and that's what he told me is he said those dudes just they find stuff to get better every single day. They're doing the little technique things every day, because you can never be good enough at them. So that's the mentality that I take into it, and things that I can work on this year. Definitely running my feet. Especially in Colorado and the guys that I'm facing. I beat my guy, and there's I could have continued, finish a block, different things, run a guy out. So running my feet, playing in space. I can always get more athletic, and so that's a big one. Being able to play in space, and I say those are two of the bigger ones. Of just making sure that I'm doing the right things and doing the right things right now to prepare myself to be able to do that, in our season. But I'm really confident in my abilities. I know I'm going to do really well this year. I know our team is going to have a lot of success this year, and I'm lucky enough to play with some really good dudes too. I mean, we have a ton of really good players at Creek that make my job easy. I mean, really, it does. It makes my job easy, and just really excited to be able to prove that and continue to work on those things so I can come into UCLA with 2 feet on the ground and ready to go.
How much you like getting them pancakes, bro? How much like getting them pancakes?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Stacking them pancakes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
IHOP over here.
Yes, sir. Endless pancakes.
Endless.
Yes, sir.
You got to put on a film. I'll send it over, especially this next year. Yeah, we can get on it during the season or something. That would be fun.
That's cool, man. We would love to have you back, whether it be like during or after, and maybe we can watch some tape and maybe like go over some stuff. That'd be really cool.
Yes,
we're always looking to try new things, but also that'd be really cool because we're seeing your progression. And that's like, okay, well, I'm going to improve on this, but man, look at all this and that, man. I had like 10 pancakes this game, stuff like that. That would be great.
Because like I said, man, you're our first recruit on the show. So, like I said, you can be like our first person that we kind of track what you're doing, basically. So 3-4 years down the line, we'd be like, you know what? Let's see where he is, or we keep track of it. And then when it comes time for the draft per se, we'd be like, we already told y'all.
Yes, sir. No, I love it. And again, the opportunity to be that and be on here has just been great. I've loved talking to you guys, so thank you. But that's super exciting. We'll be in touch. So we'll be in touch, and I'm gonna go prove it.
Oh, you got this, brother.
You got this.
Sir.
You play with that swagger, play with that confidence, and just stay humble. That's the best thing possible. I think a lot of young guys get lost in the NIL money and the opportunities, and I feel like it gets to their head. So for you to kind of have that level-headed maturity and just ready to get to work, like that's the best thing to see. Honestly.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I'll kind of leave it with this because I think this is a great point, to always talk about is, there's 2 different types, of people, of football players. And this goes for every sport, but 2 different kinds, especially with all the resources and everything that is in the game of football right now. And mentioning your point of the recruits, there's 2 different types of people. There's, a guy who loves what football gives them, and there's a guy who just loves football. And I've always been a guy who just loves football. If, the money, the attention, the everything, if it all went away, I would still play football because I love playing football. And like we talk about the physical competition, I love it. And you get in a mix, especially with, high touted recruited guys and, the money that's in the game now, guys love what football can give them. And there's just a difference there. There's a difference when, this guy is playing because he likes his check and he's just trying to go party. And I'm playing because I really care and I want to develop and be the best possible football player I can be. And you're standing in the way of that. And honestly, you come into the game and lining up against me, you're challenging who I am as a person and as a football player. And I love that part of the game. And I've always been that kid who just loves playing football. I love football. And I won't lie. You know, I'm set up. There's just great opportunities for me as a young man. And in the world that we are today, you know, players getting paid in the networking and building your personal brand. There's so many cool things and opportunities that come with being a great football player that I'm really excited for. That's, you know, helping me, you know, continue my journey as a growing young man. But it's just, you know, super exciting. But so I enjoy it, but it's really just about loving football. And that's who I am as a person. And I know you guys probably can see that, you know, throughout the interview. And yeah, just excited.
That's great. That gives me hope for other players, you know, that they would share that same sentiment.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Of course, man. Of course, man. Well, like I said, we won't hold you anymore, man. We appreciate your time. And like I said, we look forward to seeing you this season, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys again for having me on. Appreciate it. And, you know, we'll be in touch and, you know, get back on and do something. But I've loved my time. Thank you guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Have a great night, brother.
Yes, sir. You guys too.
All right.
All right. And there we go. Okay. So, and we're like really zoomed in now. But that's Jackson Roper, class of 2027. You see, like, ooh, the eyes.
He's like, yo, back up, man.
I smell your breath from here, bro.
Like, hey, man, I had tacos.
But,
chill, man.
If you guys did enjoy that, I thought it was really great. If you guys do enjoy these kind of videos and content, please make sure to smash the like button. It really helps with the algorithm to get these kind of videos to people who like them. Comment. Leave comments. We always read comments. We may not always respond, but we always read the comments. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already subscribed, especially on YouTube. If you like this kind of content, subscribe and make sure you hit that bell notification. So every time we go live like this or drop anything at all, you get a notification before anyone else. If you haven't checked out our other interviews over the last 3 weeks or so, you've got Michigan Tech, Dan Metlock, you have Central Washington, Scott Power, and then last week we had Midwestern State, Rich Renner. They were all really good. They continue to get better and better. But next week, same place, same time, you've got Coach Huggins from Kentucky State. That's going to be a really cool one. And we have some really other cool stuff coming in the month of June. But our last one for May will be Coach Huggins. So definitely be here to check that out.
All right, man. Yeah. So like I said, right on, Papa OJ. But yeah, we gonna be good, man. On the music tip, man, we got Trench Warfare coming out, man, on 31st. So y'all check that out, man. Y'all gonna love the new sound. Check it out, share it with your friends, man. We're trying to diversify our portfolio. So check it out, man.
We're gonna go blues next.
You never know.
Next thing you have like some funky town type music coming.
You never know. You never know, man. Like I said, the world of technology is always fun, except when it doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree. So fortunately, fingers crossed, haven't had any issues with the internet this week. Gotta love that. So when technology works in your favor, you applaud it.
Shit, the power just went out here. So
well, at one point, like I don't know if it was one of us or whatever, but it stopped for like a second. I'm like, oh no. And it never happened again. I'm like, watch, it's gonna happen at the end, and it didn't happen. I'm like, okay, cool. But if you guys haven't checked out Jackson, check him out. #1 in Colorado, really cool guy, really cool player. Would really appreciate if you guys have followed his journey. He's got one more year, so I'm hoping that he continues to grow and solidify himself as a player. It's crazy, you know. We talk about these big schools and we're SEC guys. It's SEC or die. But to see a guy who wants to compete, who wants to be against those big guys, and him, it kind of makes me scared for the SEC. You know, he goes to the Big Ten, you know, it makes us feel like we have to reassert our dominance. But it's cool that he went to a place like Tuscaloosa. He went to a place like College Station and Rocky Top and all that. And he's like, yeah, those are all cool, but it's cool that he didn't get lost in all the lights and all this and that. Like, he's looking at what's best for him in his situation and what's going to help him develop to be at that next level, you know?
Yeah.
He's got a really good mindset, and you've got to respect it. You know, like I said, those small things like feeling bad and having to call those coaches, I feel like a lot of kids are not doing that. And I think that is something that if you're a scout at the NFL level and you're watching this guy, I think that's something that's going to pull you in and you're like, oh man, this dude can play. Offensive line is like gold in the NFL. Why do you think, like, when there's a good class, they go quick? Like, first round, like, if they got a good class, like, they go. So I think guy could have some potential to be one of those guys one day. You know, UCLA's got a really good platform. Like we said, the Big Ten has a really good media deal, really good TV deal now. I'm really surprised it ended up being like that. But it's going to give him the opportunity to play on that national level. You can watch Big Ten games across multiple platforms now. It's not like cable back in the day. You have Peacock, you have ESPN, you have this Big Ten Network. Like, so he's going to have a lot of opportunities to play in those hostile environments against those big-time teams and playing again in front of a national audience. So we really hope that works out for him.
Yeah, same here, man. But like I said, man, we'll be back next Sunday, same time, same place, same uniform, man. So we'll catch y'all on the next one, man.
Peace.
All right, let's find the button. My bad, I got it.
Push the button.